What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Boutique podcast. That's right. We are back. This is the Geek Boutique. My name's JS. You're not imagining things. That is not Messiah Complex Cosplay. That is, in fact, Mr. Roberto, the bad guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing excellent. I've moved up to the top square this
this episode. Jeff is taking a well-deserved break this week. Of 172 episodes, I wanted to say Jeff is like 169 episodes in or something like that.
Yeah, on one hand, you can count the episodes he's missed. So
yeah,
he deserves a break.
Yeah, well-deserved break. He should be back next week though. So don't be afraid. He's not left us. He's not left us. He will be. He's told you before. He's branded now, so he's not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We do have a special guest though with us today. Of course, you can see her on the screen. You don't know her. I don't know what rock you're living. You're certainly not a Toronto or GTA area cosplayer. If you don't know Saphiira Cosplay, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us. Here. We've got obviously people in the chat where, guys, if we don't get to a lot of your comments today, it's not that we don't want to talk to you, but we do have a heavy show today because there's a lot of news. And then we want to get a lot going on. Yeah, we want to get to know Saphiira here a little bit, but Keith is already in the chat. Nate is already in the chat. Mr. Michael Myers is in the chat. Woo to you too. Dean is there. What's up, Dean? Kirby is in the chat. Paul, Neil, guys. Andrew Saxton. I mean, there's a bunch of people joining us. They're coming in fast and furious, and that's how we like it. Saphiira, do we just call you Saphiira? Is that
actually, yeah, you can just call me Saf. That's a lot easier because
yeah. Is that what people call?
Yeah. Things. Yep.
Perfect.
Right. My brain stops after 3 letters. So
okay, that's cool. That's cool. I have those days as well. We want to get to know you. We've met like in passing a few times, but we've never actually had a chance to like just sit down and chat.
No, never. Yeah, just conventions. We go to the same conventions, and I always see your booth. And we talked a little bit at HeartCon as I was leaving there. So
HeartCon, yeah.
Yep.
So so it's going to be awesome to get to know you a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit? Well, first of all, about you. How did you even get into cosplay, and how long have you been cosplaying? How about we start with that?
Yeah, so I'm Saphiira Cosplay. You can call me Saf. I've been cosplaying for about 7 years on and off. More hardcore in the past 2 years. I'm just in a better situation now, all settled. I have a space to do it, and I compete in craftsmanship contests, as well as I live stream on Twitch and TikTok. And I also run a Discord community that has all sorts of cosplayers, 3D print enthusiasts, makers, nerds, our type of people, you know?
Now, a lot going on.
Yeah.
So what drew you to the cosplaying, to the cosplay world? Because actually, I should say to the maker world, because you're not just
let's acknowledge for a second.
You make all your cosplays as well. And guys, I want to make sure everybody understands there's nothing wrong with buying your cosplay.
No, nothing.
But you also happen to be a maker and maker cosplays. So
yes,
what brought that to you? And I guess my real question is was cosplay your gateway into making, or was making your gateway into cosplay?
Yeah. Cosplay was my gateway into making, actually. So my origin story is one of my now best friends in the whole wide world. She basically the first night we met, it was sparks were flying. She was really nerdy, and she got the sense that I was very nerdy too. And she had already been cosplaying for I think 3 or 4 years before we met. And she's like, I'm getting together a couple of girls to do a post-apocalyptic Disney princess cosplay group at this convention. And I'm like, what's cosplay? What's a convention? What's going on? And she's like, oh my God, what? You don't know? I was just a nerd that played World of Warcraft all the time. So I'm like, I don't go out in the world. And yeah, so pretty much after that, I was she told me about cosplay.
I apologize. I have a feeling that my internet just went Michael Myers on me.
No worries.
I think it was my internet because all of a sudden all went down. So did I just
we're batting 1,000 tonight between us.
Kicked, and then we all got kicked, and we're back.
Okay, we're back. We're back. So if it was my fault, I apologize. But the StreamYard's been weird lately. Michael Myers can attest to that. He's been having a lot of issues with it as well. So
you're a thing now.
Yeah. So sorry. So you got interrupted. You were talking about
post-apocalyptic
Disney princess.
Yeah, so that was my gateway into it. So my friend asked me to join her group that she had already started planning. She had already been to conventions, been a cosplayer. And this was like 7+ years ago. So like we're still talking like if you want to make something like or wear a cosplay, you're likely gonna have to make most of it yourself. Like floor mats, cutting up the floor mats and stuff. That was the easiest way to get those kinds of things. But like long story short, went to my first convention, which happened to be Fan Expo Toronto, and my mind was just blown away. I mentioned I was like huge into World of Warcraft, so I saw like World of Warcraft cosplayers, and I was like, "What? You can do this? What, like I was like going up to them. I'm like, "You're amazing! Like, what? How did you make this?" And I was just like, I was hooked. And then I already had like 6 plans. I started like researching how to do all these things because I can't even draw. Like I say that on my streams all the time is that sometimes I wish I could just draw, but I can't. So the only way that I can get like that picture out of my head is to like make it because I do tend to make some mashups or maybe not stick to the original design of some of the characters, but yeah. So I've been hooked ever since, and that made me a maker, which I honestly can't believe that like I almost would say artist, but it's just like it sounds too weird to say out loud. But now I know how to like 3D model things, and I have opinions on glues, like what's the best glue and stuff. Like it's wild to me.
Can definitely relate to that. 5 years ago, I didn't think I would be saying the same thing, but yeah, here we are.
Yeah, and it is totally art. 100%, it's a form of art. I don't care what anybody says, even if you're using 3D printers or 100% a form of art. You started with foam, is what you're saying?
Yes, yeah, foam smithing. Yeah, I guess is the term, which is funny because I kind of just like saying that because one of my friends that isn't in the cosplay world, they like almost had a heart attack laughing the first time I was like, and this is how I foam smith this. They were just like, what? Do go on. And just just being able to create something that you like shouldn't be able to, I do a lot of like video game characters or like cartoons or anime, right? And sometimes it's really hard to like translate that into like reality, because they're not necessarily materials that are obvious, or what would you do for this, or floating shoulders or spinning staffs, and I'm just gonna make everything light up because I can. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah,
talking about lighting up, that background is blowing my mind. And
yeah, we were
going on back there, but yeah.
I meant to ask, but I had the speaker trouble. I was like, if it's too much, just let me know. But it's kind of what my community knows me for, the chaotic background, because it syncs to, it's like voice activated. So yeah.
Well, I like it.
I often refer to this as what the inside of my ADHD brain looks like. If you were to like have a peek in there, that's what it looks like. So
awesome. Before we keep going, first of all, we got to ask everybody, if you're watching us now and you're not subscribed to our channel, please take a few minutes, click the subscribe button. It really helps us out. Click the notification bell. It'll always let you know anytime we go live or upload a brand new video. Actually, we've got a bunch of new videos that are going to be coming out. We just have to finalize shooting some of them and then edit them and then do all that stuff. But keep an eye out because there's a bunch more content that's going to be coming out on the Geeks Co YouTube channel. I think usually what we do is we start the show off with the news. So I think it's time. I think I'll take over. It's usually Jeff. I'm not going to do the speech though, but I think it's time for the news. Tonight on the news. No, sorry, I'm not going to do it. We're not going to touch a bunch of stuff on the news tonight, but there are a few things that have happened over the last 2 weeks. We haven't been on for 2 weeks. So there's been a bunch of little things that have happened. For one, there have been more Masters of the Universe cast announcements. We already knew there was a bunch of people that were already set. We already knew what's his name?
Jared Leto
as Skeletor. We already knew Idris Elba was going to be in this. Nicholas Galitzine, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but as He-Man. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of this guy as He-Man right now, but he's bulked up and he's actually looking the part. Like, I was impressed when I saw the pictures. I was like, oh, wait a second. This could actually work. But yeah, cautiously optimistic. They did, however, announce this week Morena Baccarin as the Sorceress, or last week, I should say. And I think it was Alison Brie as Evil Lynn. No, we already knew she was playing Evil Lynn. Or maybe that one was the week before. Either way, Morena Baccarin, if you don't know who Morena Baccarin is, God, she was in Deadpool. She was in Firefly. She was in V, the V reboot. She was in so much stuff. So that's coming. I don't know if you guys are even interested in this movie. Is this something that you guys are looking for?
I'm interested in it, but I mean, it was the toy show of the 80s that spoke right to my particular demographic.
Jared Leto kind of.
Well, there's the Jared Leto aspect, right? I don't know.
That bummed me a little bit when I heard that. I was like, I don't know about this now, but I don't know. Cautiously optimistic. Captain America: Brave New World, $192 million opening weekend. Is that right?
That's what I found. Yeah, it looks, which sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But apparently, it needs to make around 400 to 500 million to be considered a hit.
Well, to break even, I'm assuming, with the kind of budget,
with the advertising budget and things like that.
They apparently had a very hefty reshoot, big reshoot budget for this movie.
Has anybody seen it? Have you seen it, Saphiira? Are you interested?
I haven't. I actually didn't even realize it was already out in theaters. I have 2 small kids, so
yeah, that's
yeah.
It came out this last weekend. In comparison, Winter Soldier, which is one of the best, in my opinion, Marvel movies,
is the best.
It's the best Captain America movie. Only made about half that when its opening weekend. So
95
I'd
million.
say it's doing all right.
No, it's doing pretty good. The new Thunderbolts trailer came out during the Super Bowl. I didn't really give a crap about this project. I was like, this is dumb to me. Like, this is now you're taking all the B characters and trying to milk that Marvel cow, right? But
it's looking like a sleeper hit.
I mean, if there's a movie where that Marvel like comedy would work, I think it's going to be this one.
Yeah.
Already just by the tone of the trailer, if that's what the movie's like, they may have, like you said, a hit on their hands.
So I got a question.
I think it could be fun for sure.
As well known here, I haven't read my fair share of comics, but what appears to be one of the villains in that movie is the Void, Dark Sentry. Is that something you're familiar with, Jess or Saphiira?
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be Sentry.
I've never heard of this before.
So,
and when I saw it in the trailer, I'm like, I need to know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know the character very well either. My understanding, just like most of the characters in Marvel, he's been good and bad. So, it could go either way. I mean, I feel like he's a little bit of the douchebag Superman type character.
I'm almost getting, so in a little bit of research I did, a little bit of Percy vibes from Vox Machina, where he's got the
kinda, yeah,
dark demon inside of him, right?
Yeah. He was Marvel's answer to Superman, but in a Marvel spin, right? Trying to make him complex, and which never became a big character. I don't think he was never a big character in the Marvel universe, but he's going to be the villain. in this movie. We see one scene of his silhouette. You just see his silhouette of him flying in his cape, flying in the wind. It looks just like Superman from behind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's all we see of him in the trailer. So,
But anyway, I'm looking forward to that movie. That's my kind of movie.
yeah,
same. I feel like it's right up my alley. Like I know that, it's like the B characters, right? But like they can definitely have a lot of fun, lots of jokes, like and that's like right up my alley, right? Like
tons of jokes,
little
going
less
on.
Serious, like action, but like lame jokes. I'm here for it. So
yeah, I think they could play this up for sure. One I'm not really so much looking forward to because frankly I couldn't even get through like the first season is Rings of Power. It's officially into season 3. Or production on season 3 has started. They've announced now that there's going to be a time skip. So they're like discovering this show, like they realizing people aren't really digging it. So now they're just going to skip it all and move right to the war with
Sauron
and the elves. Anyway, the big war. So they're just gonna skip right to that. It looks like in season 3. So is this, you think, a foreshadowing of them not gonna make it to 5 seasons like they originally decided?
Over this. Like
really,
I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. That is my jam, and like I'm easily pleased. So I'm just happy that they made Rings of Power. But like it ended at such a like crucial point that I just like the fact that they're talking about doing a time skip like doesn't even make sense to me. Like there's no way you can just skip ahead and just miss everything was just building up towards.
It like leave it on a cliffhanger and then jump and ignore everything.
Like it would be such an insult to the audience. I think hopefully they address it in some way where they're like, okay, well, like here's like a little bit and then, or maybe like flashbacks or something like. But I'm okay with like a time skip if it's done well and not missing a huge piece that we're all waiting for. Like,
Yeah, you invested like 2 seasons worth here. You don't leave anyone, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to watch the first season. I'm not the massive Lord of the Rings fans that other people are. Loved the movies. I will admit I've never even seen the Hobbit movies. Right.
So I'm going to take this time to ask a question. I don't need an answer now, but for those of you watching, send me a message what you think. So as everybody knows here, I'm a builder. I recently built the Iron Throne. So I'm kind of looking for the Iron Throne is to the whole Game of Thrones lore. What is that thing in the Lord of the Rings lore that if I could build and bring to a con, what would that be?
Durin's Door.
Oh, that's
exactly what my wife said.
Good one.
And actually, the door on my craft room, I paid way too much money for a frosted glass insert because that's exactly what I'm gonna make. So like I feel like that's such a just beautiful like design and everything. There's so much you could do to make it like glow in the dark, maybe. Oh, don't get me started.
Now I'm getting started.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't want to spend too much time on that, but Crime of Opportunity. I wanted to see what people thought. People in the chat, let me know what you think.
The Eye of Sauron. That's a good one too.
That's what I came up with.
Sauron. Yeah, that'd be a good one, but it kind of has to be with the tower. And then if you're making the tower, then do you make it smaller so that you could take a picture with perspective, or I don't know how you would do that.
Bilbo's door is another good answer too.
Bilbo's door is a pretty good one too.
Yeah, that would make a really good backdrop.
Funny story. My niece, who's usually in here watching every Thursday night, her boyfriend took her to a Hobbit cottage last weekend for Valentine's Day, and it's an actual Hobbit house with the round door and the round insides, and it's
guys killing us.
Yeah. He brought her to an actual Hobbit cottage for the weekend for Valentine's Day.
Field trip. Let's go.
So, yeah. We're gonna move on because we can't talk about Lord of the Rings all night. Did you know Carl Urban was in Mortal Kombat 2?
I saw that image and it doesn't resonate with me the way it should, but I'm open.
So for those of you that didn't know, did you know?
You got an intro for that.
I gotta milk this one. Did you know? So Carl Urban's going to be in Mortal Kombat 2, and he's playing Johnny Cage, which I don't know how to feel about that. Love Carl Urban.
I need to see more. I need to
Gonna
see
learn
this.
martial arts now, and like this is a martial. Like I don't know. I thought I'd let you people know. This is the news. I thought it was a little weird one, but yeah. Jurassic World trailer. Do you even want to talk about it?
Not really. I don't
Are
know.
you a fan of the Jurassic
Fan of
Park
it?
worlds?
I was a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had pretty much reoccurring nightmares since I was like 10 when I first saw the original. But I just feel like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they're making another one. Okay, they're still going back. Okay, why? You know, but
Yeah. Did you not learn your lesson?
that's fine. Yeah, like I just that kind of stuff throws me off, but I totally get it, right? Like it's a franchise dinosaur movie, you know, the new generation of kids and stuff is gonna think it's really, really cool. So yeah, I get it, but it's just not it's not something I'm into.
Yeah, it's really become the Fast and Furious of the dinosaur franchise, although at least Fast and Furious has a different story every movie.
Yeah.
It feels like this is just the same movie being rehashed over and over again every couple of years.
You're like, how many islands are in this island chain?
Yeah, it's just like the never-ending island of dinosaurs.
Yeah. So, you know, the trailer was underwhelming for me. So I think we're just gonna leave it at that. And we're gonna move on to the last piece of news, which I thought was the most interesting because I had no idea. There's an actual Gundam live action movie now in production at Legendary. So the studio that brought you the Kong Skull Island, Godzilla versus Kong, the Pacific Rim movies, et cetera, are actually doing
I'm so excited.
a live action Gundam movie. Now, you know, here in North America, we really ever only got Gundam Wing and what was the follow up to that? What was that one called? Endless Waltz. Endless Waltz was the second part to Gundam Wing. Those are the only two series of like the 4,672 series that they have out there. We got two, but they were amazing. Now they're making a live action Gundam, so massive in Japan. Actually, it's a Bandai Namco owned property. The Gunpla scene, the Gundam model making scene is probably the biggest model making scene in all model making out there. When you go to toy stores, or like I went to a game store downtown Toronto, 401 Games, they literally have a whole section of Gundam fucking models.
Oh yeah,
rows of shelves, dude. I had never
seen
anything like it. I was like, wait a second, what is this? Like thousands of different Gundam models.
Really? I've never even seen anything with a Gundam in it, but I do love violence and large robots. So
Kirby says we also got Gundam Seed and Destiny. Oh, I didn't know that. See, that's news to me. So yeah, so there's a live action movie coming. Hopefully, it's gonna be fantastic. We'll have to see.
Isn't there a show on Netflix too? I feel like I saw something
for
about
Gundams.
It.
There's one for the Black for Pacific Rim, which is again large robots and violence, which was really good. But
yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody in the
There's a Hello Kitty Gundam 2. Felicia says.
Oh my god.
Of course there is.
It's pretty funny.
Hello Kitty Gundam. That's awesome.
Collector's edition.
Collector's edition Hello Kitty Gundam. I think that's going to be it for the news. Do we want to move on to the community news right away, or
let's swing back towards Saphiira here and ask some more questions, and then we can go back to community news after.
Yeah, because you literally have the 3D printer running behind you. We touched on this a little bit earlier. Like you started cosplaying and then started making your own cosplays, and then kind of became that maker, I suppose.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself doing other stuff when you're like making other things now outside of cosplay? But because you have 3D printers and I don't know if you have a laser cutter or any other kind of tools like that, but
all the things.
yeah. So do you find
you know.
yourself using those things to make things outside of cosplay a lot, or do you really only focus on the cosplay itself?
Yeah, I'm starting to, and it depends. Like with my printers, a lot of the things that I print they take a long time, and I have ADHD. So it's just like a really terrible combination because let's say like that print is like a 3-day print and I'll start it and then all of a sudden I'll be like, "Oh, I should do this, this, this and this." And then, like that'll finish and then it'll sit empty for like a week and they'll be like, "There was something I was going to make, but I can't remember."
You want to start printing something new in the middle of that print?
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I have a second one now. I didn't know that like 7 years ago when I started to cut my first strip of EVA foam that X-Acto knife was going to be like a gateway into all of this nonsense. Like I have 3 3D printers. I've got 1 resin, 2 FDM. I do have a laser cutter, and just like all these things, like just all the tools that will make it like easier or nicer because like I can't draw, so I feel like I'm better at like I taught myself how to use programs that I can get like a crisp clean line if I can't draw it because I never can. But it's just crazy to me. And yeah, and I do find that if there's something that I need and I don't want to leave the house, I'm like definitely like, can I print this? And if I can't, can I like whip it up really quick in like Tinkercad or something, yeah, all the time.
I think you said you've been starting to do some of your own 3D modeling as well, teaching yourself how to do that.
Yeah, so because I compete in craftsmanship contests, you have to meet a certain percentage of how much you've made. And like my brain kind of likes to figure out how things work anyways. So I was like, well, I feel like this is my path forward from foam, just because I have kids. It's harder to like make the proper patterns that you have to get going with. It's easier for me to kind of chip away on a computer program. And so it really just motivated me to like teach myself. I started with Tinkercad, which led to Blender, which has now led to Nomad Sculpt. Just because I want to be able to like go into the judges room and know that I'm not even close to like flirting with the percentage. I want to be like, yep, I like designed all this myself, like no problem. So
that's awesome. I haven't really got that into that much myself yet. I want to go there, but
yeah, the modeling side for me, again, we don't compete, right? Like we cosplay, well, for the fun of cosplaying, right? So and I don't have a requirement, so I could just download a file off of the internet and print it and call it good, right? So yeah, I mean, I've dabbled a little bit with like Tinkercad and Microsoft 3D Builder, and those are more like the additive sculpting, right? Versus something like the Fusion 360, where you're actually building planes and extruding and
yeah, and I just love
nobody got time for
the
that.
more I get into it, like everything being on the computer, I'm a lot less likely to lose a file on my computer than I am with a pattern in the chaos of my crafting room. Everything I put in clear bins and I still can't find anything. So it just like it really all is kind of coming together. And I don't think I'm allowed to use the word organized, but like it's just like an easier format for me to kind of dip in and out. I tend to sort of step away from projects sometimes. Either life happens or I get like inspired and I start like making a totally different costume out of nowhere, or a photo shoot comes up or something. And then if I come back to it, at least it's on the computer and I know where I'm at. Whereas if it's just like on my desk, I'd be like, and what was my plan for this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Mm. So
Oh,
do you
I can't
mostly like most of your cosplays 3D printed now, or do you still do foam stuff, or
yeah, so I still do foam stuff if like I feel like it would be a better decision. So right now I'm working on Barbie Iron Man suit.
Mhm.
And so I started with a file that I bought, and I printed all of the pieces. But you know, as I'm putting them on, I'm starting to think, okay, well, I have this piece, but it's going to be difficult to walk in and join some things like that. So I was like, I feel like I don't have to like 3D print everything now. I can
Mhm.
be like, okay, I'll swap out the knee piece for foam, or I'll use foam for detail. Like I really appreciate the fact that I started with foam work, and I can
Mhm.
kind of go back and rely on those skills. And I feel like not every single piece has to be 3D printed. I have like more options that way. And you know, or if like because 3D printed armor especially gets really, really heavy. So if there is like a bigger armor set, then I can be like, okay, like let's make some of these pieces out of foam just to save my back.
Yeah.
Mhm. Do you use any Warbler or any kind of other thermoplastic as well, or do you
um
is it mostly foam and 3D printing?
Mostly foam. I do use Warbler. Warbler and me never got along very well. But I do use it for more of like a connector or like a hardware piece.
Mhm.
If I had to kind of attach maybe like two PVC pipes together in an awkward way, like I would immediately go to Warbler. Something that maybe needs more of an organic shape that I'm not worried about keeping it perfect and strength, like then yeah, I do like having it. Or like a belt. I like using Warbler as a base for a belt, but then putting like 2 millimeter foam over top so that I know it's
Mhm.
not gonna break. Like I use it
Right.
more structural than like for the actual costume.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Kirby was commenting about the whole pattern thing, saying totally makes sense. Even though I draw patterns on paper, I always end up scanning them to a hard drive. I actually do that as well. Usually, when I draw out a pattern, I'll then take a picture of it so that I can clean it up on the computer and then reprint a nice version of it, you know, and then modify. And then when I need to modify it, I can just modify it on the computer, right? I don't have to redraw every freaking time, right? So, yeah, but doing it right on the computer makes total sense.
Yeah.
Um, has 3D printing kind of changed the way that you approach what kind of cosplay that you're going to do? I mean, I know for me, like I would never have done things with like helmets and masks, and I mean that's not true. I did one helmet out of foam, but oh, fuck, what a pain in the ass that
Then
was.
you got a 3D printer.
Yeah, then I got a 3D printer because screw that nonsense. But does that affect like the type of not necessarily competing wise, but just a general thing, right? Does it change your perspective when it comes time to what's going to be my next cosplay?
Not for me personally, like not at all. I get totally triggered by the most random things. And normally it comes back to there's something about the character or the design that has a method that I would choose to make it with that is like a technique that maybe I have been wanting to try.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get fatigued with a lot of armor. So like for example, like I'm working on the Iron Man suit, but I already have a very like sewing intense project that I really want to do. And it still has some 3D printed elements to it, but it's not like it would just be a fraction of the percentage. Usually there's something about the design that I'm just like, I have to make this one piece, and it just kind of ends up leading to making the whole cosplay. So like for example, like the wings on my wall, the Mercy wings,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was gonna cut plexiglass to make those wings. As soon as I looked at the
Because they light up,
design,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah.
knew that's what I was gonna do. And like that's kind of what leads me into a project is like there'll be this starting point of I can just visually see how I'm gonna make this one little detail. and then I kind of figure out everything else. And so it just totally depends
Trying to pull them up
on
here.
character, like, maybe
Yeah.
how much wig styling there might be. Then I might make a decision.
Well, my brain works very similar to your brain in the sense that like I latch onto one thing and I'm like, I want to try this or do this, and like I'll make the whole costume, but I really want to
Yeah.
try this new thing.
Yeah. Hendrik, the electroplating guy, he's been popping into my lives lately, and I'm like, I am not trying to like figure out anything new right now, but I so badly want to electroplate everything. Like bad influence.
Yeah.
Like,
Stop talking to me about it. I don't
yep,
want to know
like
about it.
don't even. I'm gonna be making Eivor from Assassin's Creed in the next little while, and I'm like, oh, it would be perfect for that. No. Hey, it's me.
Those are the wings, correct? Yeah, they
Yes,
are the
yeah.
wings. Now, this costume has evolved since, hasn't it?
That was, I think that's
Or
the
was
last
this the
version
final
of it. Yeah,
version?
there
This
was an
was the
original
final.
version that I threw together. It's I have to say, because it's easy to sort of look at like all my craziness and the lights and everything like that, but I made that costume with one power cord in this corner of the basement that was not finished, and the power cord worked 50% of the time. I had no light.
Sounds familiar, Rob.
I knew you
Like,
were gonna say
just
that.
anybody can do anything. Like, I just want to like throw that out there.
Oh, we were trying to build a damn iron throne with the freaking
Dremel that work,
Dremel that
Dremel
didn't
that
work
works half
half
the
the
time. Yeah.
fucking time.
You have to make the
Yeah,
decision.
yeah.
Do you want the lamp or do you want the Dremel? Like, which one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say I when I was doing a little my research, and by research I mean just scanning your profile and taking a look at everything. I love that Mercy cosplay. Like, it's so dope. A few posts before that, she's got a video which looks to be, I'm not sure if it's a further evolution or a past version, but you're kind of just standing there when it looks like the base of the MTCC. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, that was the first version. And I'm not done with it either, because typical me, like I say I compete in cosplay contests, but I don't really compete for the same reasons that other people do. I know I'm not gonna win because I'm so chaotic. I have issues keeping my ADHD in control, and I have time management problems. I live like 3 hours away from Toronto, but like in my mind, it only takes like an hour to get there. So like I can just craft to the very last second. And I take on too much with too short of a time frame, but I need that deadline of the contest. Otherwise I will literally like never finish something. And then I get to the judges room and I'm just like a sweaty, nervous mess, like almost in tears. Like the organizer last year, like I slid in just in time for my time slot for my prejudging, and he's like this, and I'm like, I'm on time for the first time ever, yay. So there was some things that I left on the table with that build that I actually really, really want to get back to. And I say that with all my projects. I'm like, I'm going to go back. Like Dame Aelin that I made last year. I had the wings articulating to move when I wanted, when I was on stage. I like had this big moment that I wanted to like replicate right from the game, because she's not really in the game very much, but she has this big moment where she kind of like throws her sword and the wings go up, and I had the motor programmed and everything was fine, except like I had one little issue that I just couldn't figure out, and it was like 2 days before the contest, and I was like, must figure it out later. If I ever get my shit together, look out.
Yeah, I mean the crunch is real, right? When people talk about the con crunch, when it's a couple days before the show, when something's not working or it doesn't fit, or you break something, or
the Velcro stops Velcroing. What is with that?
Yeah, or it's go time and the electronic doesn't work.
And actually, shout out to Myers if he's still in the chat, because he was keeping me calm backstage, because I just felt like I was gonna just like fall apart at like any moment.
Can we just show another cosplay very, very quickly? we actually saw you in this at HeartCon. It was at
HeartCon,
HeartCon, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Your Barbie Bo-Katan. You have a Barbie thing, don't you?
Maybe.
You're doing another Barbie mashup, obviously.
Yep, I'm like obsessed. It started with Barbie Bo-Katan. I was just making a normal Bo-Katan, and I just love mashups. I'm obsessed with them. But like, I had just seen the Barbie movie when I was working on the Bo-Katan, and I was like, how can I not turn this into a Barbie mashup? And I just like could instantly see it. And like, actually, that's one of my favorite projects that I've made, because that's like exactly how I saw it in my brain, because I tried to like make color palette swaps that make sense. So I still want to look like it's Bo-Katan. So I didn't want to go pure pink, and I swapped like Bo-Katan's like her one main blue color. I swapped that for the Barbie pink, but I tried to keep the flight suit like the same color, and just like everything looked like it turned out, and I was like, I can do things.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you just said, because you're right. It doesn't look like just another generic pink Mando, right?
Yeah.
It is it's Bo-Katan, but instead of being blue, it's pink, right?
Yeah. Everything. I got like her emblems and everything. I mean, I did add the Mattel logo. That one's on me, but
the owl. Did you freehand that, or did you stencil that?
I stenciled it. Yeah, I can't draw. I tried to initially, just because I was like, oh, it's pretty basic, and then I was like, nope. The beak was all crooked. I was like, nope.
Yeah, I made a Bo-Katan helmet that we raffled off, and same the first attempt I tried to freehand it, and I was like, oh my god, like this is horrible.
Not even centered.
No, so I ended up cricket cutting it stencil and just sticking it on, and done. Right?
Technology, got to use it, right?
Exactly. I think we need to move on, because we've been on for 45 minutes now, and we haven't even gotten to the community news now. So I do think, Rob, what time is it, buddy? You can say it.
It's time for the community news.
This never gets old, buddy.
It's gonna get old, I think, but it's not old yet.
I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
Okay, we're gonna go into community news. So we skipped last week, obviously. So there's a lot going on this week. I'm gonna go through it fast. First up, I don't think we formally addressed it. We kind of did off and on, but
we should talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it now. The Geeks & Co. will not be at Toronto Comic-Con in the same way we have been in the past, where we had a booth. Frankly, we don't know how we're going to be showing up at Comic-Con this year. We have applied for media passes. We've not heard back yet. But at this moment in time, I don't even have tickets. So if we don't get media passes, we're not going to be there. But what do you want to say about it, Jez?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that we're not going to have a booth at Comic-Con this year. At the same time, we pulled out of Fan Expo last year.
We did.
And we only went as media, and we had a blast.
Yeah, it was a totally different experience.
We were able to film a ton of content, a ton of interviews, all sorts of comic book creators. It was different, but we still had a good time. I think where we missed out was on being able to hang out with everybody. Right, when we have the booth, we're kind of the hangout spot, and everybody comes and we keep saying it turns into a dance party every freaking time, right? So we miss out on that, and we're gonna miss out at Toronto Comic-Con. We were kind of hoping originally to be premiering the Iron Throne there, which now is going to be at Toronto Game Expo. Look, at the end of the day, I think what I'm trying to get to is we're still likely going to be there. Actually, I know for a fact most of us are still going to be there in some capacity.
Just
to what extent? I don't know. If we get media passes, we're going to be pretty much all there all weekend. If we don't get media passes, some of us might only be there one day. Some of us might only be there 2 days. I know Jeff is still going to be there all 3 days. he's got like 4 different cosplays planned for the 3 days. So we'll see how that turns out. Megan, I think, is only gonna be there Friday and Sunday, regardless, because she has something else on the Saturday. Anyway, we're gonna see us, but in what capacity we don't know. Well, we won't have a booth, and it is what it is. We are, however, going to be hosting for the second time Toronto Game Expo. So if you guys do want to see the Iron Throne, you want to come and sit in it and take a picture, you want to look all badass in whatever costume you have. But if you have a Game of Thrones costume, wear it, because it'll be freaking dope. And come and check out the Iron Throne.
We're gonna go there next. The last thing I want to say about Toronto Comic Con, they have been obviously announcing all of their community booths, but they also announced some cosplay guests. And there's the thing I want to call out there that seems a little odd to me is they've only announced 3 guests, which seems like an odd number of guests. They've had a lot more in the past. They've only announced 3. I don't know if they're going to have more to come, but they're only announced 3 right now, which seems a little bit weird. One of them is a gentleman we know, Unorthodox Cosplay.
Oh, nice.
He's going to be there, so congrats to him. And there's a couple other people. I apologize. I don't know. I didn't write down their names, but congrats to them. We're going to move on from Toronto Comic Con. That's all we're going to say about that for now.
That is odd, though.
It is a bit odd. It is 3 scenes. And you remember in the past, there used to be kind of a very familiar crew that they would always.
Yeah, they used to have like 12, right?
Yeah.
And then they had like 9. And then last year they had like 5. And now they've only announced 3.
Now they have 3. It's a little bit bizarre. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. They still have some time to go. Moving on to Game Expo. They have been announcing cosplay guests like mad.
Shit ton of
There's
cosplay.
so many guests there. The one I want to talk about first, Saphiira Cosplay, is going to be a guest at Toronto Game Expo. I had to call that out first because you are our special guest this week.
Just announced 2 days ago.
A couple days ago.
just the other day. Yeah. It's going to be my first time being a cosplay guest, so I'm excited, nervous, all the things.
Oh, we're gonna have a good time. Don't worry about that. It'll be fun.
A good time. There's a lot of good company there. You know what? I was gonna talk about one of the guests who's not a cosplay, but we might as well go through the cosplay list so far that I have here. Starting at the top, we've got Saphiira. Obviously, we just talked about Freakish Workshop is going to be there. Myers Corp Cosplay. Those 2 gentlemen are doing a panel cosplaying with EV Foam 101, which
that'll be fun.
That'll be fun. Obviously, those guys know a boatload about EVA foam.
We'll make sure to go mess with them when they're on stage because we'll be set up right next to
we're going to be right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually been testing out one of Noah's patterns that he's making. More to come on that in future weeks. But who else do we have? Concussion Cosplay. We got Midlife Cosplay. He's doing a panel on silicone prosthetics, which I know you and IJS have been wanting to learn a lot more about, so hopefully we can learn some from him on that.
Yeah, I've been talking to Richard about potentially going over to his shop and at least checking out while he's doing some of this stuff, because Richard does it the old school way. He will actually, like, he has a head form, a head cast of his head that he will sculpt shit with clay right onto his head, and then we'll make a mold out of that he can then make his mask. Listen, it's pretty freaking.
So he's not using CGI, is what you're saying?
No. There's no AI in this shit. Let me tell you that. Like, it's pretty dope. So hopefully we can get out there because he's only like 45 minutes away, right? So
we're gonna get a chance to learn a little bit from him at Game Expo during a panel that weekend. Some of the other people that have been announced: Antenna Cosplays. Capes and Chaos, which is a new group on the scene, but a lot of familiar faces we all know.
Well, they were the DC group last year.
They were.
I don't know if they had an official name, but they are now going by Capes and Chaos.
Yeah. Cool new community booth. Cat Girl George, Corky Cosplays is going to be doing I'm not sure if it's a panel, but he's definitely doing some things on stage there. Bear Sailor Moon
Our
is
buddy
doing that.
Bear is going to be doing another
Nice.
lip syncing showcase.
Mario themed lip sync showcase.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
should
yeah,
help
yeah,
us
yeah.
on the Sunday because some of us are doing something Mario related on the Sunday. Saphiira's like, I have no idea what these guys are.
I'm just going with it.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
I speak nerd. It's all good.
The list hasn't ended yet. We got Torva Cosplay,
Yeah.
Christian Piera.
Oh yeah, Christian
Kyozi.
Pereira is gonna be there. Okay.
He's gonna be there, yeah. Kyozi, who I've never met, but I always think of she's the person that beat us in the one cosplay contest we ever entered.
Oh yeah, with her jinx. Ugh.
Deservingly.
It was so
good.
ridiculous. Like she had like a full blown like minigun that turned
worked.
and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was, and the whole rocket launcher thing as well. Yeah, it was craziness.
A few more. We got Shell Creates.
Mhm.
And this one I'm a little bitter about. Leonidas, the cosplay cat. He's got like 7,000 followers. I haven't even hit 1,000 yet, right? If you're not following me, please follow me because there's a cat out there that does what I do and what you do. He's killing me.
Yeah, I'm hyped to see this cat because I was like, I was pumped. I was like, this is my first time as a cosplay guest, and then they announced the cat, and I'm like, cool.
This cat better have some fucking cosplays to show up
Yeah.
this weekend. Otherwise, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, you're like
cat in a chair.
questioning everything you do, right? Like, this is who I'm competing with. Okay. You know, something else announced in the last couple of weeks, taking place at Game Expo. Hacksmith is gonna be there. Appears to have some cool armored gaming truck that I don't know,
Yeah.
nerds like me would want to check out if you're into gaming. What were you gonna say?
If you're into Hacksmith, you're gonna want to go check out the truck. It's pretty cool. He is not physically gonna be there.
Oh, he's not. Okay.
No, so we
I take
did
that
find
back.
out. Yeah, we did find out he's not going to be there himself. I think they're still going to try to get him for a future event.
Okay, well, he's coming off the community news for next week if he's not going to be there.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
They are also have a couple vendor spots still available. So if you're a vendor and who's interested in that, watching, and you're looking for a table, they have a spot there. VonCon as well has announced that vendor spots are on sale right now, probably because VonCon is in August and they're looking to secure some tables now. So if you think you're going to be there or want to be there, they have a sale going right now. I don't know what the discount is on a table rental, but if you want to look into that, go check out the VonCon people. And just want to call out both VonCon and Game Expo for the first time, I think ever, are both going to 2 days this year.
Yep.
And if anything, that's just a testament to like how well things are going right now. And I think in the community, right? Not only in the last few years have there been more and more cons popping up, but some of them are expanding on to 2 days. So it's awesome. Things are blossoming and blooming in our community.
And I want to point out that a lot of these smaller cons that are moving to 2 days, a lot of these smaller / growing cons, because that's the whole point. They're growing.
They're growing.
They're also very cosplay friendly and oriented, right? Like if you look at like, Game Expo is becoming the cosplay con, right? Let's be honest, right? Like it's they're all about the cosplay, and
this year is like
right.
Yeah, that's the place to be in March.
You can tell just by the guest list, right? Like there's so many cosplay. Like I know half the cosplayers that you just listed. Like it just makes other people want to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah, us too.
Amazing.
Like more than half of this list, I'm like, these are all the people we hang out with all the time. Like,
right. Awesome. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot of these smaller shows are becoming really cosplay friendly. And I'll go even further a little bit and say that it feels like a lot of these smaller shows are more about the fandoms, right? Like Game Expo feels like, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but it feels like they're run by a bunch of people that fucking love games, right? That are into it. They're run by a bunch of nerds like us.
Yeah.
Right. So So these smaller cons feel like the people are maybe a little bit more passionate about the con than just wanting to maybe make some money.
Coming from a
100%.
place of
Other
joy
cons.
versus profit,
Yeah.
Right?
which is what, like, what the other convention, which we're not going to talk
Right.
about, like, it almost seems like that's what's happening there versus this
Right.
one. You can tell it's
Correct.
like coming from a place of joy, which will
100%.
make
Correct.
other people want to go.
Mm-hmm. London Comic Con is another one of those great examples of a con that's now grown to, like, it's not even a small con anymore. Like, it's a pretty big con now. And same thing, like, you could tell that it's run by people that actually give a shit.
Yeah.
Right. So I want us to keep supporting the cons that want to support us. So, we're gonna keep talking about these guys, and we're gonna keep telling people to go check them out, because we're gonna be there and we're gonna have a blast. So come and hang out.
Absolutely. A couple more updates to go here. One, everybody's I don't know what to call him. We've known him since he was a kid, but everybody's favorite, like, prop builder in the GTA, Reese Prop Plus, has undergone a cool new rebranding. And
new website,
new rebrand, new logo. And the reason why I'm calling this out, aside from that, is he's currently accepting commissions.
Oh, is
he? Yeah, if you're not a maker like the panel here tonight, and you'd rather buy like Jeff, check out Reed's Props Plus. He's taking on commissions. So if you need to have something built or want to have something built, he's top tier in the area. Go check him out. One of our good friends of the podcast.
Reed builds some dope stuff.
Absolutely.
Also featured at Toronto Game Expo last year. Go check out his new website.
Couple more things for the people who like participating in photo shoots. Rotide and Kookaburra Photo and Wayne Cuff. I'm not sure how.
Cuffy. I think he pronounces it Cuffy, but I could be
We
wrong.
all know who I'm talking
Actually,
about.
I think Wayne is in the chat.
Is he?
I thought I saw him commenting earlier. Oh, he is.
Hey,
a game expo run by gamers. What a concept. That's right. Wayne, is it pronounced
I know,
Cuffy?
right?
I don't think we've ever I don't think
we've ironed that out. We're gonna go with Wayne for now, just to keep this moving.
Yeah.
I noticed they are doing an Arcane photo shoot April 13th. $50 to get in on that. If you have an Arcane cosplay, reach out to those guys. They're producing dope content all the time.
Oh yeah, Rotide and Kookaburra, bud. Like, they've been like, yeah. Some of the pictures coming out of those guys this year have been bonkers.
Amazing.
I know we've called out Rotide last week or 2 weeks ago as well, but yeah, these guys have been
There's
else.
One more photo shoot that I'm going to call out. It's a few days. It's about a week later on the 19th. It's a charity focused photo shoot hosted by Valerian Witch and Guardians of Hope Toronto. They have, I think it's 4 photographers, but my bad. I lost track of the post where I saw who the photographers were. But they are all usual names. Everybody's going to know here. I don't think it's the last 2 we called out, Kookaburra and Rotide, but it's the other 4 that you would know. So anybody want to put that in the chat, please do so. But if you're into getting into those photo shoots, as usual, go check out Rotide, Wayne Coffee, Kookaburra, Valerian Witch, Guardians of Hope. That's
LT
all
and the engineer,
I think.
Are saying we're getting in on that. Looking forward to it, because those guys have fucking wicked,
amazing.
Oh, some of those costumes.
We could do a whole show on Alfred the Engineer and the Engineer.
Yeah. Keyleth and Fresh Cut Grass, though. I mean, come on. Like, Fresh Cut Grass is dope. And we keep wanting to film like a little bit with Fresh Cut Grass and do like an interview, because he actually has sayings. So I got to plan. Actually, I'm going to say right now, we got to plan ahead of time before con, so that we can figure out what those questions are, so that it matches with the sayings that Fresh Cut Grass says, so we can actually film an interview. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's wicked. Although, keep him away from me, because literally every time we've seen them and he's brought Fresh Cut Grass around,
you've broke something.
Every time. Every single time. That's like Richard and his Boba Fett. Every time he wears his Boba Fett around us, we somehow end up breaking it. So, maybe we're the problem.
Just caution.
Maybe people need to not wear their costumes around us. And
stay away from JS.
Was that it for the community
That's
news?
it for the community news that I have this week. There's one other thing that I wanted to mention. I know I've been talking with Black Cat about Toronto HeartCon. At this moment in time, there's not a date that's locked down, but I think the Geeks and Co. At least some of us will be there, and we might bring out the throne. But other than that, that is intended to happen again this year. When the date is known, we will be sure to share it here with you and let you know what's going on there.
HeartCon best. It was the best convention last year in my book.
It was fun. We showed up
Yeah.
for a little bit, and
We didn't even cosplay. We just went to check it out, right? And that was a cool setup.
It was very cool. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is awesome. She did an amazing job. I don't know how she got this together through the whole thing to be able to pull off like that event. I think your first time. Kudos to her on that one.
It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get bigger
for sure.
Absolutely.
I forgot that I had another Did You Know? It's on the list. Forgot I put it there. Do I run the intro again? Fuck it. Did you know? Oh, I love these. Oh, it never gets old. Now I don't know their track record. I'm not gonna lie. But Geek Tyrant, the online geeky news website, is reporting that apparently Kang is set back to come back to the MCU, but with a new actor, a gentleman by the name of Tremel Tillman from Severance. I've never seen Severance, so I don't know if you guys know him. Replacing Jonathan Majors as Kang, but apparently just long enough to kill him off.
I think they want to close the loop on that storyline. And I have not, I just want to say I haven't watched Severance. I don't know if you have, Saphiira, or anyone else in the chat, but my wife has. And she says she raves about it. Fantastic show. And apparently, if this is true, that Tramal Tillman, he's going to be a great replacement for Jonathan Majors. For I suppose just long enough to kill him off, but he has the same kind of like mannerisms and eccentrics to him.
Can he live up to the hype?
Can he live on?
I see what you did there.
Thanks, Dad. We will see. We will see.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't even know why they want to close that storyline off, considering that they've put so much time and effort into building this character to now just kill him off. I feel like we're in the multiverse, right? They've already shown us that Kang can be a million different people. So why can't they just bring a different actor to play fucking Kang? Like, I don't understand.
Well, they are, but they also have Doom now, and they have
but Doom was always coming though. All they did is they accelerated that, right? And they replaced Kang Dynasty with, I want to say Doom Patrol, but it's not Doom Patrol. It's what's it called now?
Dr. Doom.
Yeah, but the movie Avengers. Something.
I don't know. Secret Wars.
After that.
No.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Guardian.
They all they did was accelerate the Doom show. Let's put it that way. Kang can still be a recurring character. Kang can still be a character on Loki, right? And can still be that main villain on Loki. Like we're in the multiverse. There's just so much we can do. I think that you just fucking recast them and just be done with it, right? You don't necessarily have to just kill them off, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Is anybody interested in this storyline anymore? Doomsday. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks. I can't believe we forgot that.
Yeah. Everybody's like, what, Doomsday? Like, you idiots? Like,
yeah, like, what are you, like, you run a geek podcast, you don't know that?
Yeah. We're already into an hour, and yes, I wanted to answer your question, Rob. I want to get into it a little bit. We haven't talked about competitive cosplaying at all. Just kind of what we wanted originally to talk to you about, because none of us do competitive cosplaying, and it's kind of your thing, I guess. How do you even get into competitive cosplaying? I mean, obviously, you started by being a cosplayer and then got into competitive or competition, but how do you?
Yeah.
What makes you want to make that next move into competition?
So it's actually kind of a funny story. So I was at like my third or fourth convention ever. So I told you about the like post-apocalyptic Disney princess. So that was like convention one. Second or third convention, it was Fan Expo again. And my friends and I dressed up as Overwatch characters. And we went to Fan Expo. I didn't even know cosplay contests were a thing because I was still pretty new. I just happened to be about 6 months pregnant at the time, and so I had to change my original cosplay. So last minute, I decided to whip up a Roadhog cosplay because I had prego belly, so like that just made sense to me, and I thought it would be hilarious. So we were this Overwatch group, and with it being so popular that year, we kept getting swarmed like everywhere we went, and that drew the attention of the cosplay contest organizer. And he basically pulled us aside and he said, we're missing a slot for our contest. Would you guys would you like to compete? And I'm like, what's a cosplay contest, right? So we agreed to do it because we're like, why not? We're already here. We're here for the weekend. We ended up doing it. And yep, there's the Roadhog. And again, my mind was blown because suddenly you have all these incredible cosplayers in one room, and they've all made things, they've all made different things, different techniques. This person made something and they like hand embroidered things, and you can see them up close and you can talk about how they made, like it was just like it felt like home. And I was like, okay, now that this exists, like this is my life. This is my life now. This is how I meet other cosplayers. Like it made me want to get better like instantly, right? Because you're like checking out everybody else and you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like I never would have thought of that. And so like I often, every time I see Pat, I often blame him that like every time I apply, this is all his fault. I am in this crazy chaotic world now because of him. If he hadn't have pulled us off the convention floor, I don't know if I would be competitive, but I'm so glad that I am, because like it makes me want to keep getting better and improving my craft and seeing, where's the ceiling. Like maybe we'll get the chaos under control, hopefully too, but I want to see, just how far I can push something.
So what's the next competition that you're in, or do you already know? Like, how's that?
Well, just because I have crippling anxiety and I already kind of know the way that Fan Expo works, I always tend to apply to that one just because I'm familiar with the building and the way it goes and everything. But it's getting to be quite a popular contest and probably more and more difficult to get in. So I will probably still apply to that. I have a project that I'm going to be starting soon from Lord of the Rings. I'm going to be doing like, I don't want to say dragon version, but sort of like a human version of the Balrog from Lord of the Rings. And I'm
a la Saphiira type.
Yeah,
Balrog?
like sort of like a human version, which makes sense to Lord of the Rings because some say like it's not really supposed to look like how it did in the movies, but in my brain I just put the two together anyways. But yeah, so I almost always apply to that one, and I'm trying to build up the courage to apply to like New York sometime, or some smaller ones as well that are like maybe a little bit closer. Like you mentioned London, I think they have a contest. It's like half the battle is just knowing where they are.
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
for sure.
And and I do tend to work a lot of weekends in the summer too, so it's like juggling so many things.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, right? You realize con season always happens at the busiest time of the freaking year, right? Like it's you're back to school, or you're just about to back to school is coming along, and everybody's in frenzy mode, and it's the beginning of con season. It's like, oh
yeah. And I already have the toxic trait of thinking I can make everything in like 2 or 3 days. So
yes.
Yes. Guilty.
I'd like to hear how. So let's go back. I don't know when your first competition was. When was your first competition? The first time you competed?
Oh my gosh, what year was that? I was pregnant, so it would have been 2018
So
was my first
2018.
one.
So that was your first one, but you didn't intend to enter a competition.
Yeah. So, and it's actually funny because I feel like now that I am in that world, so I ended up winning organizer's choice, a minor award that year, but I didn't purposely apply. And then the year after, my friend and I, we won another minor award. And so then when I ventured independently, I was like, I kind of don't know where to place myself, like category wise, because they bump you if you win too much. But because I've won these two minor awards, I was right on the threshold between like novice and journeyman. And so I had to reach out to the organizer because I was like, you know, my history, it's your fault. Like, I kind of don't know where I am because I have this one award, but I didn't intentionally compete. So yeah, I had to phone a friend on that one to figure it out.
So what was that like? Like, you walk up on stage, the light hits you, it's your first competition, and this is in the auditorium, right?
Yes, yeah,
the
big room
PCC
at
North
Phoenix,
building,
yeah.
the big auditorium.
Yep.
Right. So what's going through your head when you
terrifying.
get out there?
So the first one, you don't know how it works. You just go, yeah, sure, you go on stage, but then they start calling people up. And this was when the host would ask you questions when you got up on stage and you had no idea what they were going to ask you. And that like made me like almost want to cry. I was so stressed out.
Damn, I'm glad I sent you all these questions ahead of time now.
Like it was stressful, and I didn't like that part because it was like, okay, it's already stressful enough going on stage in front of all these people, but I have no idea what you're going to ask me. And some people don't necessarily cosplay characters that you know. What's that?
Was it Pat on stage? Is the Covenator on stage?
Yeah, he was. And I forget her name, but the one really amazing lady that ran it, she was the host for years. Lucky Grimm. She was the one that would, so she was the one asking the questions, but you had no idea.
Yeah.
It could be just like a chill question, or it could be like a, go into a deep dive about your character. What skill points would you, like you just didn't know. So I hated that. And I was so stressed. Like, luckily I forced my one friend to like be closest to the mic because we knew it was coming. And then the year I did it solo, they stopped doing the questions, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Which kind of it made you be able to focus on being in the moment a bit better. Like the one year I was Sylvanas, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have fun with this now. It was kind of quiet in the audience, and I knew the organizer was an alliance character and I was a horde character. And just to poke fun at them, I just went center stage, held up my bow, and I was like, for the horde! And like suddenly, like the audience like really got into it. They were shouting back and forth for the horde, for the alliance, and then it was like, okay, it got like some life in the gallery. So that part was really, really cool, getting a bit of interaction.
And you didn't have to worry about the questions they were going to ask.
Yes, thank goodness. Like,
well, I mean, you're able to do more of a performance when you're up there, right? Like when they're asking you questions, all of a sudden it takes you out of character a little bit, I find, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're trying to like kind of show, because you're getting judged on it too, right? So they're still marking you on how everything fits, how you can walk in it, all these things. And if you just kind of stop dead in your tracks, you're going to lose all your points for like, do you resemble the character? Well, does your character look like a deer in the headlights?
Trying to answer your silly question.
Yes. Yeah. Nailed it.
Rob, I see you had a high question highlighted here. Is that because you wanted to ask that question?
Well, not necessarily, but the question you're on, really, I was wondering, like, so after that first competition, what was the next cosplay where you're like, okay, I'm gonna enter this with the intention to, I don't know, get results,
win it all.
To win it all. Yeah, like what did you build next?
So it was Roadhog by accident, then Sylvanas Windrunner, and then it was the Dark Valkyr Mercy, which I had high hopes for, but like as I kind of said before, I don't enter to win at this moment because I know I have issues with organization and not like completing it the way that I'm happy with. So like
Mhm.
I would feel like a winner if I showed up to prejudging with my build book, which I like totally forgot last year with my like Dame Aelin like build because it was crazy. Like I just would like want my build book, so happy, build perfectly how I want. The Velcro decides to Velcro that day. You know, everything works, and like I would feel like a winner, and then therefore I feel like I would have a better chance. Like just knowing, I just hate leaving parts on the table or making cuts last minute because I ran out of time or things go south or my kid got sick the one year. Like it's just like things always come up inevitably. So I'm working towards getting better in that aspect.
How do you not let that crush you every time when you get there and you've put all your heart and effort? I know that's why I don't like competing, because I hate it. I hate putting all my time and effort and be like, man, I got the best fucking cosplay here, and then you don't even make the finals, right? It's like, oh fuck, this sucks.
Well, and there's that too, and I almost wonder if I'm kind of protecting my heart from that too, because there's a lot of controversy kind of with competitions in the past few years because it's really hard to compare like apples to oranges. So you'll
No, you're
have
right.
like
Yeah.
you'll have the ball gowns versus the foam armor versus the 3D print. And I feel like there's a lot of factors that are behind the scenes that people don't know, like your build book,
Mhm.
because you can lose marks on your build book because you have to prove that you made it yourself. Who were your judges? So like for example, last year with the Night Song armor that I did, I was a write-off. I was a wreck. But I was at least very excited to be able to go into the prejudging room and say, I taught myself Blender and I 3D modeled this entire armor, every single piece. Like I taught myself a program and I designed it, I printed it, I finished it, everything. And they were like, it was like crickets. And then they're like, oh, is that 2mm foam right there? And I'm like, yep, it is. It's foam, but it's like, but it's not their fault if that's not like their style of making,
Mhm.
because like they try to have like a well-rounded panel, right? And maybe they don't know anything about Blender, so how can they ask me a question and test me if they're not familiar, which isn't their fault or anything like that.
Yeah,
So it's just like kind of stuff like that comes up, right?
yeah, and you like put so much effort into sort of like teaching yourself how to develop that in Blender,
Yeah.
and it's not that they need to appreciate it, but you're like, I spent, do you know how much
Yeah,
effort
like,
this took
ask
to
me
teach
one
myself
question.
Blender? Like, ask me
Let,
something.
let me just tell you about it.
Yeah, and you're not there to win. You're just like acknowledgement that like
Yeah,
you did
and
this.
and it's always like master level cosplayers that are the judges too, right? So you're a little bit in awe just to be in that judges room, right? Because you're like, oh, the one year it was Yaya Han,
Mhm.
and it's always like kind of a well-known master level cosplayer, and then they always have the previous year's winner as well. So you're just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like I remember your build from last year. It was amazing. You're looking at what they're wearing. You want to ask them questions.
Yeah, some of the Masters winners, they're ridiculous. And actually, if those of you that don't know, for a few years in a row, the finals of the Fan Expo group, they called it the Masters of Cosplay,
Yeah.
which is a big giant competition across all of the Fan Expo shows, MegaCon, Vancouver, Toronto, Boston, Philly, all of the Fan Expos, and then the finals happened in Toronto.
Yeah.
So we had all of the winners for a couple of years from the different shows come to Toronto for the finals, and some of some of the Warhammer armors are just out of this freaking world. Uh, yeah, I love to see those big builds. They're impressive as hell. that something you want to get into? The big giant armor type stuff, or is that not? I know we've been talking about doing Transformers for like 5 years now. We haven't done them yet, but that's something that interests you. Those big giant things that.
Oh man, it would depend on like the piece because yeah, it's hard not to be inspired by like the Warhammer build. And that was one of the things that really drew me to the Fan Expo contest in particular because they had the finals there. So you would see incredible work and be inspired. I think I definitely would. It would just take the right character or design, and then I'd be like, "Yep," like the ADHD would take over and lock on and be like, "You're gonna figure out how to walk on stilts now. Have fun with that."
Yeah, that's where we were at with Transformers, and I was like, "I'm too old for this shit. Like, this is not a joke anymore."
Yeah.
We have to move on to our next section because this is something that we try to do every week. We're gonna come back though, because you're gonna do this week's tip of the week.
Are we there yet? Or are we?
We're not there yet. Right now, I think it's time for Cosplay Corner. Now, being we have a guest on the show today, we decided why not let her pick the Cosplay Corner of this week. Now, we've kind of been on a theme of finding people that are not just cosplayers, but are involved in the community. And you came up with a great pick, so I'll let you tell us who that pick is, and talk about a little bit about why you think this person should be our featured cosplayer this week.
Yeah. So when you asked me to pick, I just like immediately knew exactly who I was going to pick. So I met her at a photo shoot this past summer, and we like instantly clicked. Just like incredible person, so positive. She's beautiful on the outside and on the inside. She's fierce. She created her own cosplay focused convention that also is a fundraiser. She is none other than Black Cat Sigma.
Again, you know, Black Cat Sigma.
Sound effects.
She stormed under the scene a couple years ago. Like you said, created her own con specifically aimed at bringing cosplayers together. I mean, there's no going around that. All about bringing cosplayers together for photo ops, charity event, like, raising money. I mean, what a great little con, and I hope it's going to keep growing because I think it's a fantastic event. Whether you're a cosplayer or not, you should come and check out HeartCon, which we don't have a date for yet.
No, we don't. I think it's Q4 this year, later in the year. It was a very we only showed up for a couple hours towards the end. Very interesting, totally different than any of the other cons. Very interesting idea. I think the way that she brought all those different photographers together and sets together and different environment or different like ways you could go around and take different photos with the different photographers. I don't think I've seen that. What she did, I don't think I've seen anywhere else in any of the other events I went to. And she seemed to have pulled it off fantastically. I'm sure she was pulling out her hair the whole time. Very stressful event to do, but when we showed up and I got a chance to talk to her, she seemed pretty cool and collected. So
and she was. I saw her at the very beginning, and I know how I would be in that situation. And like, it didn't even look like she was phased at all. She had that totally under control. She knew exactly what she wanted, and she killed it. It was amazing.
And I think there was even one point when we were there where somebody roamed in off the street that really shouldn't have been there, and she like booted them out. Like she was like instantly like a hawk. Like, you get the hell out of here, right? And I believe she's also going to be at Game Expo with a table for HeartCon. Last I talked to her anyway. She's going to be
so HeartCon is having a table at Game
I
Expo.
believe so.
Perfect.
Yep. So she's going to be there as well.
Yeah, I really loved how they really the philosophy behind HeartCon is a little bit the same philosophy behind why we've been doing what we do at cons, right? Is we wanted to make it an interactive thing, right? Where whether you're a cosplayer or not, that you come and hang out and take pictures with different environments, different set pieces, different cosplayers, so on and so forth, different themes. And she took that to the whole next level because I mean,
Just
there
a
was
good idea and
like
made a con out of it.
17 different setups at
Yeah.
HeartCon that you could go take pictures in and environments and phone booth and poster board and I mean, you name it. It was really neat. I mean, the people that didn't go, you guys really missed out.
You seriously missed out. And like, I feel like one thing that as somebody that doesn't really live right in Toronto, you don't know that there's almost like a really closer community of cosplayers and photographers that, you know, you just kind of happen to get to know each other the more you go to conventions and stuff. And what was so great about HeartCon is you just gave an opportunity to a cosplayer that maybe is new. They want pictures, but they don't even know how it works at conventions, which I've seen people ask in like Facebook groups and stuff. They have no idea how it works. So that person can now go to HeartCon and they can meet several different photographers, and now you know that photographer, you know, if you like their style, if you like their vibe, you can work with them on other projects. It's just such an amazing like stepping stone and just a great spot for cosplayers.
Yeah, that was really a great idea where you could sort of buy a tickets or a package and you could be like, I want to try this photographer, I want to try that photographer.
Yeah.
And you're right, very intimidating to sort of enter that for the first time and know what to do. And her really broke down a lot of those barriers, or tries to break down those barriers to make it inclusive for everybody to try to get an opportunity. It's not just about, you don't have to have 10,000 followers to come in and hang out.
Exactly.
It's open to everybody.
Yeah. So that's where I wanted to go next is it doesn't matter who you are or what level of cosplay that you do. This is just another reason for us to get together and hang out. Right. And to hang out with like-minded people and meet new like-minded people, right? Like, I mean, even us, like we go to and we meet new people every time we go out, right? So yeah, if you're a cosplayer, you need to check out this event because a little bit like our May the 4th event, we want to get the community out and we want to get people to get together and we want people to, I mean, this is what we do this, right? We're cosplayers. Any
One
reason
more
to get into cosplay is a good reason, right? Right.
And we couldn't talk about HeartCon without just raising one more point here about, and similar for what.
No, we don't need to know the Andre
the 4th.
On every fucking.
I know Andre is there winning everything that we.
Yeah, you know, Andre won half of the prizes last year. We don't need to talk about that.
No, I know we're standing there, and it's like Andre, Rob, Andre. But again, raising money for charity, specifically Sick Kids Toronto. That one has a big place in my heart, special to me.
Same for my family too.
Yeah. So I'm always going to call that out. When we do our event, May the 4th, we raise funds for Ronald McDonald House, which again, you know, if you happen to be at Sick Kids and you're from afar, maybe like you, Saphiira, 3 hours away, Ronald McDonald House are the people that are going to hook you up with a place to stay if you need to be there. So kudos to Black Cat Sigma and Black Cat Sigma events. She's always throwing events, obviously, in the name of her page there, doing photo shoots. So go check her out. Subscribe to all the things she does. Keep an eye out for HeartCon. We're probably all going to be there this year. Yeah. So great pick, Saphiira.
You mentioned you're from 3 hours away.
Yeah, so I'm in South Bruce Peninsula. It's like on Lake Huron, where all the terrible weather is, and all the highways are closed. And
I was gonna say, are you guys not like buried in right now?
Yep, we are.
You're gonna be at the Bruce County Comic-Con this year?
Yes, I actually was thinking about maybe applying to be a guest or a vendor. I really liked it last year, except it was extremely hot. I wore my Bo-Katan. And the Coliseum that they held it at, there wasn't air conditioning, and I was sweating. I'm like, I'm gonna have heat stroke in here. So
yeah, they asked that we bring the throne, but this is another far one for us, right? Like, and it's only I think a one afternoon type of event, and it's
Yeah,
like,
just the
well,
one day. Yeah.
That's
you can't
something we need to
really
make.
drive like 5 hours for like a one, like an afternoon event. Like it's just
Got to make
doesn't
a
make
camping trip out of that one.
Where's your
That would be
commitment? I
smart.
drive 3 hours
Yeah.
all the time just for photo shoots. So
Yeah.
Oh,
and
Good call
conventions.
out. Good call out.
If you're
Mister,
really
I just bought a
passionate, you'll be
trailer.
there.
Oh, yeah. Saphiira, one thing we haven't touched on at all. Well, we did a little bit at the beginning. You've got into streaming.
Yes, yeah.
Now, I say you've gotten into streaming, but I mean, you're not just getting into streaming. You are now an official Twitch affiliate.
Yes, which is crazy. It's like typical pattern for me. I fall face first into everything. I don't even, I saw like your questions list. I'm like, how did I get into streaming? Like, I don't even understand. I think what happened was I really started to lean into the cosplay aspect, and I never really was a big social media person before. Like, even on my personal page, I didn't really understand hashtags. I just used to make ones up that I thought were funny. Like, I was like, I don't know what these are. So I just kind of leaned in hard, and I started like my own like Instagram page, which led to like TikTok, and I just kind of sort of was experimenting, and I saw like other people going live on Instagram, and I think I tried it once, but I was terrified and I didn't like it. But there was something about TikTok specifically that just like the vibe was different. It was way more chill. You were instantly connected with other people instead of just kind of a closed off group of who may or may not follow you. And so I started streaming on TikTok, which led to being like, because like I knew I wanted to start recording my making my work in progress. I wanted to start to do those videos because I needed it for my build book. So it was sort of like a how can I force myself to document the process, because I forget, right? So I was like, as soon as I knew I could keep my footage from the live streams, I was like, okay, this is great. And like, it was a really great way to like casually chat and meet people while I'm still working. Other people kind of say, oh, I'm a cosplayer too, or oh, I love 3D printing as well. And you end up meeting like amazing, incredible people. And then what happened was right around the time that I started with TikTok, that's when the threat of the TikTok ban started to be talked about.
Right.
And I've kind of never believed in putting all your eggs in one basket anyways, because when I started with Instagram, I couldn't just do Instagram. I did Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I was on Clapper at one point. Like, I was just like, what are all these things? We'll just try all of them and see what happens. But yeah, so that led to Twitch. And I can't believe I just made affiliate, which just like blows my mind. I barely like know how to set up my emotes and stuff on my channel, but like huge shout out to my community and the Discord. Like, they've just been so supportive. They are like incredible people. They have never told me that I've had too crazy of an idea, that I shouldn't do it. Like, if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would be an affiliate, but like, yeah, it's been wild.
Awesome.
Why? I mean, was there a reason that you picked Twitch over maybe like YouTube, or I guess those are the two main streaming platforms, right?
Yeah, so there was when I was working on Barbie Bo-Katan, I actually got banned from TikTok Live for 1 week because I was painting her blaster, and like I violated the, they thought it was a real weapon. Like, they have bots that, so I got flagged, or somebody reported me. Like, it was hard to know for sure what happened, but because I was so new to everything, I was just like furious. And I was like, well, maybe I just won't come back. And I did try like YouTube a little bit, and it was totally different. They're just not set up the same way. Like, just having the convenience of being able to go on your phone and stuff. Like, it was just like, it has to be easy for me. Otherwise I won't do it.
Yeah, and YouTube, I find, is really hard to build a new audience if you don't already have that audience. Like, I see a lot of people come to YouTube with a pre-existing audience, and then they do well. but people trying to build an audience on YouTube is very, very, very hard.
Very hard,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
you
I can
know,
tell because I take one video. Usually I'll make it in TikTok or something, and then I'll post it on Instagram and YouTube. And it's fascinating to me how that video can perform differently, like 3 times on 3 different platforms,
mhm.
right? So yeah,
Yeah,
totally
same
different.
video and it'll totally work one place, but it won't at all in another spot. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's that time because we're getting near the end of the show, and I think you came up with a really good idea. So it's going to be the time, I think, for just the tip. That's right.
Bum, bum, bum.
This week's tip of the week is brought to you by Saphiira Cosplay.
Yeah, so I meant to actually have the thing close by, but I was fighting with the speaker just before. But so while I'm on my live streams, I get asked a lot about how I attach my armor pieces. And specifically like the 3D printed ones, but it works the same with foam or a 3D printed part. But one of the tricks that I use is I take an elastic band that I'm putting to. I'm just gonna get it. It's right behind me. Hang on.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, there's a whole display.
I gotta
there.
step my light game up, man.
Yeah, I mean,
we
you're
got
the
like
one that's looking.
one light, like
Yeah, it's not even pointing at your background. It's like
I know
All-
it's
all
off
the
the
light.
side.
So this is my current project, the Iron Man. So I have 2 separate pieces that I didn't want to permanently attach because I want to be able to move.
Yep.
So I wanted to maintain a little bit of flexibility in here. So this is just an elastic band here. But what I did so that I could get a really nice bond from the strap to the 3D printed piece was I sewed on a little chunk of nylon on each side where I was going to attach it, just there and there. And then the elastic will not it won't break out of the glue because it's trying to stretch. The nylon locks it down, and the nylon attaches
you mean like nylon webbing straps?
Yeah.
So you sewed nylon to the elastic, and that way, because when you try to sew elastic, eventually it'll just want to rip.
And it always will. It doesn't, and that's what I was trying to say. Like it always will stretch out because anytime you have movement and wear and tear, it will break eventually. It might get you through one convention, but probably not more than that. So by locking it in, it will not come out. Like this is solid. Like this elastic will break before probably the nylon comes off.
And then because you're using nylon webbing, you can then just use super glue to glue the nylon right to the armor, right?
Super glue or E6000 or a 2-part epoxy would be my recommendations.
You know what? That's a good tip. I don't use elastic bands a lot, so I never.
Where do you get elastic bands that thick, that big?
That one I think I got from a supply store, a fabric store. I'm known for my bargain shopping, so there's a surplus store near me that has all sorts of random things. There was a fabric land that went out of business not too long ago, so I was in there getting up all the deals.
Just went out of business as well, so.
We just got a crazy bins in our area in the last 6 months, so I'm always there on the dollar days looking through the bottoms.
Yeah, we're finding a lot of good stuff from Crazy Bins. Yeah, good tip by Michael Myers, actually. He's the one that put us on the Crazy Bins train. So, and now they opened one up in Curtis. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Kirby saying, "Oh my god, that's actually such a good tip." Just a tip segment mentions stretching out. Yeah, good point.
I was hoping you would hit that. I was trying not to.
Good point. I didn't even catch that.
Silky, do your thing.
If you guys don't know, Silky's been putting some hot reels together for us, so keep an eye on those. They're gonna keep coming out. Saphiira, first of all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was awesome. We're gonna have you on again for sure.
Absolutely.
Before we do go, anything you want to pitch? Any event you're gonna be at that you already know? At websites, socials. products, stores. This is your
Pitch it
chance.
all.
Pitch
all
it
the
all.
things, all the things. Yeah, so I'd love it if you could follow me on Twitch or Instagram or TikTok, YouTube. Join my Discord. If you are a maker or 3D printer, or you're just creative, like we have like a wholesome, helpful community. It's been so amazing. So definitely join that. I have a link tree somewhere that has all the
There's
things.
a link tree at the bottom of Saphiira's bio on Instagram. The
Yeah,
link
yeah.
tree is posted there.
So yeah, I do live streaming on Twitch and TikTok usually 2 to 3 times a week. I'm gonna be a cosplay guest at the Toronto Game Expo end of March, so I'm really excited about that. If you're going there, please come by, say hi, tell me to drink water, maybe eat something.
And if you need water, usually something new we've been doing in the Geeks & Co. booth is we always bring bottled water for our cosplayer friends free of charge. So
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll usually have a big giant pack of bottled water. So if anybody needs a
Come to
break
the
and a
Geeks & Co.
drink,
booth, yeah.
come on over and we can hook you up.
Perfect.
Roberto, I can see you're already on the spoil train.
The spoil train.
No, yeah, don't get into the beans right now. We don't need to spill more beans, even though I see you've already started.
Oh, this one.
But keep your eyes open, folks, because I think you might get some teasers of what's going to be coming down for Toronto Game Expo. Because yes, we are bringing the Iron Throne, but you have no idea. Guys, if you haven't already clicked that like button, please click the like button. It really helps us out. It helps us propagate our videos through the YouTube sphere. If you haven't clicked the subscribe button, what are you waiting for? It costs you absolutely nothing. If you click the notification bell, it'll always let you know when we go live. I think that will, however, be it for this week's Saphiira. Thank you very, very much again. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you all stay geeky. So we're going to see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Geek Boutique Podcast. Like always, if you prefer to listen to us, you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Now, make sure you don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell to make sure you never miss anything.